All right, so are you ready to dive into some really fascinating territory with me today?
Right,
We're going to be talking about heart health, but not the usual stuff. We're
right.
going beyond diet and exercise tips and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, to explore like a controversial test that
Mm.
can actually predict your risk of a heart attack
Hmm.
and why it might not be as widely used as you'd think.
Well, this is a topic that really gets to the heart of the matter, pun intended, when it
Sure.
comes to healthcare. This is exploring the potential conflict between life-saving technology
Yeah.
and the systems that govern its use.
Yeah, and the sources for this deep dive are a YouTube video essay and transcript,
Okay.
both centered around a documentary called The Widowmaker. Have
Interesting.
you heard of that term before?
I have,
It
yeah.
refers to a particularly deadly type of heart attack.
Right.
And the documentary claims the survival rate is shockingly low,
Oh, wow.
only 12%.
12%?
Yeah.
Wow. That's because the Widowmaker involves a blockage in the left anterior descending artery, which cuts off blood flow to a large portion of the heart.
Oh, gosh.
So it often leads to sudden cardiac death.
Wow.
The documentary features personal stories that really drive this point home,
Yeah.
like one about the video essayist's father who only survived
Oh, wow.
because he happened to be in the ER when his Widowmaker occurred.
Oh, my gosh. That's a chilling reminder of how quickly things can go wrong.
For sure.
And while the name Widowmaker might sound gender-specific,
Yeah.
it's important to remember that heart disease is the leading killer of women, too.
Absolutely. That's right. And it brings us to the crux of the issue.
Okay?
The documentary centers around a test
Okay.
called a coronary calcium scan.
Mhm.
They call it a mammogram for the heart.
Oh, interesting.
It's a simple, non-invasive scan that can reveal calcium buildup in your arteries.
So the scan produces like a calcium score.
Yeah.
That reflects the amount of buildup
Okay.
and helps predict your risk of a heart attack.
So what's really interesting to me is that this prediction...
It goes beyond like the typical risk factors,
Right.
like cholesterol levels or family history.
Yeah.
It provides a direct look at the state of your arteries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And according to the documentary, it's relatively inexpensive
Oh, wow.
compared to more invasive procedures.
Okay.
Yet, despite its potential, it hasn't been embraced as readily as you might expect.
Why is that?
Well, the documentary suggests this might be due to pushback from some cardiologists
Okay.
who were profiting from expensive stent procedures,
Interesting.
even though there were questions surrounding their long-term effectiveness
Mm.
and whether they were being overused in certain cases.
Wow. So the calcium scan could be seen as a threat to this business model.
That's what the documentary is proposing, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So the filmmakers present a compelling case
Yeah.
by featuring Dr. Steve Nissen,
Right.
who's a renowned cardiologist.
Yes.
And he's shown in the documentary seemingly dismissing the calcium scan.
Okay.
He claims that it doesn't offer clear guidance on what to do for high-risk patients.
Hmm.
But the essayist counters this by pointing out that Dr. Nissen has also downplayed the impact of certain foods on heart health.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so is there a potential disconnect between prioritizing preventative measures,
Right.
like the scan and the focus on interventions like stents and medications?
Right.
That's a key question the documentary raises.
Yeah, that's an important one for sure.
The Mayo Clinic is also cited
Oh, really?
as allegedly suppressing the use of the calcium scan to protect revenue from their catheterization labs.
Wow.
Yeah, adding another layer to this complex issue.
Yeah, it does. So this begs the question.
Yeah.
If financial incentives are at play,
Right.
are preventative measures taking a backseat?
Yeah, it seems like.
It really makes you think.
Yeah, and it's not just doctors.
Oh.
The documentary also points the finger at insurance companies,
Okay.
claiming they often refuse to cover the cost of the calcium scan,
Wow.
despite its potential to save both lives and money in the long run. A former insurance spokesman in the film compares their approach to the famous bank robber Willie Sutton,
Oh, really?
who said he robbed banks because that's where the money is.
That's a thought-provoking analogy
Yeah.
that suggests a system potentially prioritizing treatment over prevention,
Right.
even if prevention could be more cost-effective in the long run.
Right.
This brings us to a crucial question.
Okay.
Whose responsibility is it to ensure access to potentially life-saving preventative measures?
Yeah, it seems like we're uncovering like a potential systemic issue here.
Right.
The documentary really paints a picture of a system that might be slow to embrace preventative measures,
Mm-hmm.
like the calcium scan in favor of more profitable treatments.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it, but perhaps it's not so black and white. The documentary focuses on the perspective of those advocating for the scan.
Okay.
But there might be valid reasons why some in the medical community are hesitant about its widespread use. It's important to consider multiple perspectives.
That's a good point. I guess the documentary does present a somewhat polarized view of the situation.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to hear from cardiologists who are less enthusiastic about the calcium scan
Yeah.
and understand their reasoning.
Exactly. It's always helpful to delve deeper into complex issues.
Right.
And consider all sides of the argument. For instance, are there situations
Yeah.
where a stent might be the more appropriate intervention,
Right.
even if a calcium scan reveals a high risk? These are important nuances to explore.
This whole discussion makes you wonder if there are other preventative tests or measures that are being overlooked or underutilized.
Yeah, for sure.
It makes me think back to my own father and his experience with the Widowmaker.
Right.
What if he had known his risk beforehand?
Yeah.
Could he have potentially prevented it?
That's a question that resonates with many people who've been touched by heart disease.
Yeah.
It highlights the potential impact of early detection and prevention.
Right.
The documentary's focus on the calcium scan raises broader questions about the tools and resources available to empower individuals to take control of their heart health.
But as we've seen, there seem to be roadblocks to accessing these tools.
Right.
It's not just about the availability of tests like the calcium scan,
Yeah.
but also about insurance coverage and even potential biases within the healthcare system itself.
Absolutely. This deep dive has revealed that it's not just about the science of heart disease,
Right.
but also about the systems and structures that influence our access to healthcare and how those systems might prioritize certain treatments over others.
Right.
It encourages us to be informed healthcare consumers.
You're right. We can't just passively accept what we're told. We need to be proactive, do our research, ask questions, and advocate for our own health.
Exactly.
It's unsettling to think that financial incentives might be influencing healthcare decisions,
Yeah.
but recognizing that possibility empowers us to be more informed and engaged patients.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to challenge the status quo
Okay.
if something doesn't feel right
Right.
or you believe a particular treatment or test isn't being considered. Speak up.
Yeah.
Your health is your responsibility, and you have the right to be an active participant in your care.
I love that your health is your responsibility. It's a powerful reminder that we have choices to make.
Yes.
And we need to be informed and empowered to make the best ones for ourselves. But taking responsibility also means looking beyond the healthcare system itself.
That's a crucial point. The documentary touches on this by highlighting the work of researchers like Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn Jr.
Okay.
and Dr. Dean Ornish, who have demonstrated the effectiveness of lifestyle and dietary changes
Okay.
in not just preventing, but even reversing heart disease.
That's incredible. So it's not just about avoiding certain foods.
Right.
It's about embracing a whole new way of eating that nourishes your body and supports your cardiovascular system.
Precisely, their research shows that a whole food plant-based diet,
Okay.
coupled with other healthy habits, can dramatically improve heart health.
Wow.
And the beauty of this approach is that it's accessible to everyone.
Right.
You don't need expensive medications or procedures. You just need to make informed choices about the food you put on your plate.
It's inspiring to see that we have more control over our heart health than we might realize.
For sure.
While we've uncovered some potentially troubling aspects of the healthcare system,
Right.
it's empowering to know that we can take proactive steps to protect our hearts through lifestyle choices.
It's a reminder that we're not powerless against this epidemic.
Yeah.
There are things we can do both individually and collectively to make a difference.
Right.
Individual action is crucial. But so is advocating for a system that supports those actions, makes preventative measures more accessible, and prioritizes a holistic approach to health and well-being.
This deep dive has taken us on quite a journey.
It has.
We've explored the science, the controversies, and the potential solutions when it comes to heart health. We've gone from a discussion about a deadly heart attack to a message of hope and empowerment.
We've examined the potential of early detection through the calcium scan
Right.
and uncovered some complex issues surrounding financial incentives and access to preventative care.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we've arrived at the empowering realization that we have more control over our heart health than we might initially believe.
Wow. It's amazing how much we've unpacked
I know, right?
in this deep dive.
Yeah.
From the science behind the Widowmaker
Right.
to the controversies surrounding the coronary calcium scan
Mm-hmm.
and the power of lifestyle choices, we've really explored like the multifaceted landscape of heart health.
We have, and I think one of the most valuable takeaways from our discussion is the reminder that it's not just about individual responsibility, but also about systemic change.
Yeah.
We've seen how financial incentives within the healthcare system might be creating barriers to preventative care.
Right.
And that's something we need to address as a society.
So you're right. It's about advocating for a system that prioritizes prevention and makes tools like the calcium scan more accessible and affordable for everyone.
For sure. But while we work towards those larger goals, what can we do as individuals to take control of our heart health today?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think that's where the power of knowledge comes in.
Okay.
This deep dive has highlighted the importance of being informed, asking questions, and being proactive about our health.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to challenge assumptions, seek out reliable sources of information, and advocate for your own well-being.
You know, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the complexities of heart health.
Right.
But remember, knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
Understanding the risks, the tests available, and the potential biases at play can empower us to make informed decisions about our own health.
Couldn't agree more. And it's not just about being informed as patients.
Right.
We also need to be informed consumers. The documentary's exploration of the financial incentives surrounding stents and insurance coverage reminds us to be critical thinkers, to question the status quo, and to consider the motivations behind the information we're presented with.
This brings us back to one of the key themes that emerged from our deep dive.
Okay.
The tension between prevention and treatment.
Right.
The documentary advocates for a shift in our healthcare paradigm.
Yeah.
One that prioritizes preventing disease rather than simply managing it after it arises.
And that shift requires both individual and collective action.
So on an individual level, we can embrace lifestyle changes that support our heart health.
Right.
Like adopting a plant-based diet and incorporating regular exercise into our routines.
And on a collective level, we can advocate for policies that make preventative care more accessible and affordable and support research into innovative approaches to heart health.
This deep dive has given us a lot to think about.
It really has.
But I think the most important message is one of hope and empowerment.
Absolutely. We're not helpless in the face of heart disease.
Right.
We have the power to make choices that support our heart health.
Yeah.
And we have the power to push for systemic changes that prioritize prevention and well-being for everyone.
This has been a fascinating exploration.
It has.
And I hope our listeners will continue to learn, question, and advocate for their own heart health. For those who want to dive deeper into the source material that sparked this conversation, we encourage you to check out the YouTube channel, Jeff Nelson Vig Source.
Okay.
That's where you'll find the video, essay, and transcript focused on the Widowmaker documentary.
And remember, this conversation doesn't end here.
Right.
Share your thoughts, your questions, and your own experiences.
Yeah.
Let's keep the dialogue going and work together to create a world where heart health is a priority for everyone.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay heart healthy.